Hello there, lads and ladies. Welcome back finally to another tattoo story time. Today we are going to be talking about the very lovely, very gender bent Booette. Now, if you don't know who Booette is, obviously this is a tattoo design of her. This is meant to be basically a representation of the whole Bowsette, peach crown meme where when they wear it they get a power up and it turns them into this overly sexualized female versions of themselves. Basically, you all know what gender bent is. Basically, I decided to get Booette basically because Boo was my favorite antagonist throughout the entire Mario and Luigi series. Basically, I think my favorite male character was Waluigi. Either Waluigi or Wario, I'd say, because of their accents. They were just so hysterical whenever I used to hear them speak. Oh Wario, Waluigi, all that stuff. So it's really over the top and stuff like that. But with Boo, I really felt a pull towards Boo really because of how cackly he sounded when he spoke. He was so it was really hysterical to go up against him. Whenever I was Luigi, when I played Ghost Mansion for the first time, I played an awful lot of the speed runs as well. Oddly enough, with the Super Mario speedrun game basically, and I've also played Mario Party as well. That's been very interesting. Although I don't have a Nintendo Switch myself, I've mostly played either on friends' DS's and stuff like that, or their Switches. Sorry, not DS's. That's way back in the day, before Nintendo started to become its own thing, basically. Yes, I'm old, I know. Giggle about it. So when I started playing Mario Party and all that stuff, that was really fun. I would love to get Mario Party on the channel at some point, really, because that looks really damn good to play. And Mario Kart was very interesting as well, basically. I always used to use the motorcycles rather than the cars themselves, basically. So the story behind why I got the gender bent version, it was because of a friend who was starting up tattooing, and she introduced me to a lovely lass. She's a Kiwi, bless her. She comes from the gorgeous town of Auckland in New Zealand, obviously, hence the word Kiwi. Lovely lass. She does an awful lot of pastel colours, and she's known for doing anime style stuff. So I thought, great, perfect, sign me up. I'd like to have a word with her. So we worked on the design, and I kind of wanted something a little bit more chibi-ish, so it shows off kind of the cuteness of Boo, basically. So what we've done is we've given her purple pastel colours in her hair. The yellow in the crown is not as predominant because this was quite a while ago, I'd say about 4 years ago, and pastel colours don't really last very long, if you know what I mean. You have to give them touch-ups. So I will have to touch this up sooner or later. If you can't see it very properly, she used to have dots by her dress here where the frills were, so it made it pop. But of course, it's no longer well done because it's so faded, basically, unfortunately. You can even see the blush on her face, basically. That started to lose itself, basically. And also, my entire arm is covered in hair, so it's going to hide that, unfortunately. Although I think I'd look better with tats with hair than I do without it, basically, because I remember when I did my leg for the God of War tattoo, it looks fine because it's my leg, but with my arms I look too, I don't know, like a mole rat or something when I shave my arms and stuff like that. And that's why I like to leave my chest hair as it is, basically, because it's more masculine, basically. If I just shaved all of that, then I'd look like a 14-year-old, basically. So that's partially why the beard will always remain as it is, basically, because whenever I take that off, I look like I've lost 10 years in age, basically. To some of you thinking, oh wait, that's a blessing. I'm like, no, it's not. Not as a man. Not as a man, it is not a blessing. So I sat down with her, we had a little chat about what we wanted to do, basically, and yeah, we came up with the design. I kind of wanted one of her where she's shying away. If you can't see it, you can see her hands here, basically, where she's covering her eyes. She's shying away, basically, hence, that's Boo. You know, that was his whole gimmick basically. Whenever you turn towards him, he'd be like, "Ooh," and then he like comes after you again when you turn away. The entire Mario universe has so many interesting characters. I think my female favorite was Rosalina, I believe, because she was like meant to be this mystical star guardian or something like that with her little pet star basically. So she was awesome. But I kind of wanted to like play around the whole fun thing of the meme of like, you know, the crown basically making everything fucky within the Mario universe basically. And it kind of explains our current day of society that we're all just a bunch of horny buggers, which technically we all are in one way, shape, or form. It kind of reminds me of this Pro ZD skit where he actually talks about the crown and he pretends like he's a manager or something at Nintendo, and he's like, "What's that alarm going off?" Sir, sorry, that's the fucky alarm. What? How does the internet make it fucky? And he looks back at the screen. He's like, "Oh wait, I see now." Oh, wait, there's a change on version of it, and he's just talking backwards and forwards with himself. It was like, oh, actually, Bowser isn't meant to be known as Bowser. It's meant to be known as Pete Chowser. And he's just like, what? What are you talking about? And he's just, what? This is just the name the internet's giving it. You are part of the problem here. I absolutely love that man. He does some of the most brilliant skits. If you don't know who Bro ZD is, then goddamn it, go check him out. He's done some brilliant skits. He's done an awful lot of voice work basically, and I think he also brought out a chibi recently of his character, who's technically himself. I believe is Lysandroff, I believe, something like that. So definitely worth a look at checking him out. He's so hysterical. His skits are goddamn funny, man. Honestly. And I think with the most recent game that I've played with Super Mario, I think it was Odyssey or something like that. That one I wasn't too keen on. Like, it was the one where like you had to use the hat and you like flung it around like a frisbee and all that stuff. Never did enjoy it. I didn't really enjoy that one, to be honest. Like, the top ones for me were Mario Kart, Mario Party, and I'd probably say the Mario World one. You know, the one where speedrunners do their things really. Because I tried out Ross's one. I tried Ross's map out and I nearly lost my mind playing it, but I did somehow manage to beat it. But I was like one of the slowest times basically because there were so many ways for Ross to like fuck you up in that map basically. Like, he loves torture basically, and he tortures the people that go in on that map basically. It wasn't fun. Wasn't that? It was like, was it Companion Springs? I believe. Yeah, it was Companion Springs. I haven't tried out Companion Springs 2, but I want to try out that at one point. Ross, you're a devil. You really freaking are, mate. Not fun to play the first one, and I don't feel good about playing the second one, but yes, I will try and defeat that when I get a chance. Because I've seen so many other people try Companion Springs too, and that didn't look fun at all. It's like, wasn't there a bit where this little Bowser basically just like chucks springs at you, and you have to like spring up into one of the tunnels or something like that, and then into more springs and shit? Oh, it looked horrible to watch basically, but yeah. So really, the whole main point of getting the gender bamboo was mostly the representation of meme culture, Japanese like anime, and just the whole fun that people all around the world had, like basically Rule 34ing most of the cast that were like peach crowned into being fucky basically. That's just human culture really at the end of the day, where if something exists, we are going to Rule 34 the frick out of it. Honestly, there's a part of me that wishes I could draw like to a good degree where I could actually draw like that, but I think my attraction more for drawing would be on elegant things like dresses, how the way they flow, or water. Like, I love water and wind within the background of a character basically. Like, there's this one bit of art that that I really that I have enjoyment looking at the moment, where it's of two Gardevoirs. One is a shiny, the other one's just normal, and they're both mega evolved versions of each other, and they're dancing with one another within a silhouetted background of stars, and underneath them is like this black mirror style type floor where it's actually reflecting their feet to one another, to their bodies. It looks really goddamn gorgeous, and I really do get envious sometimes of brilliant artists that are able to just make these things come alive in their head, because I'd love to draw something like that. And I know what you're thinking, you're like, oh, you've got time, you could learn how to draw and all that. Yes, I could learn to draw, but my hands just fucked me over, because there was always a thing when I used to do when I used to draw. I used to hold my wrist down when I used to write. I used to write shakily sometimes, and I still write like a 5-year-old basically. That hasn't changed. Like, I can still draw and write, but I just feels like I'm drawing like a 5-year-old. It's awful. And even if I did get lessons, I feel like it would just be too constrained in a certain sense. Like, most artists are meant to be like free flowing, and they're meant to be creative with their work. So if I don't have like that creativity behind my like techniques as I'm drawing, then it just feels like I'm repeating it from a book basically, and it's not your own. Whereas some artists of today are so talented and so brilliant at what they do that it feels like a work of art, because it's come out of their brains, it's come out of their creative side of things basically. Like how some artists like make proportions different to each character, or certain things different. They just add to it and make it their own basically. And that's a very interesting thing that some artists can do, really. And that's why I love tattooing, because with tattooing, I might not draw my works and all that stuff. Like, sometimes I get pictures from the internet, sometimes I just get like stills of certain things, or sometimes I'll bring like a live version of it. Like, I actually brought an actual rose so they can study the contours of the actual rose itself, because I wanted this exactly as accurate as the RFU rose was basically for rugby. I wanted this as accurate as possible, especially for it being on my chest whenever I like sing Jerusalem and all that to support my country basically. So to be able to actually draw and like from memory, like think of a reference and just add to your own drawing like that, I just find that so impressive. Like, I've always had the taste for style and art, but I was never very good at it, unfortunately, and that's just the very unlucky thing that some of us have not been blessed with, really. Like, because I know that when I start drawing, my hand shakes and it hurts. I don't know why. Maybe I'm too forceful, maybe I'm too quick when I draw and write, but even then, when I go like a little bit slower, in my mind I'm thinking this is taking too long, and then I just rush it basically. So I think that's more of a problem with me, really, when it comes to drawing and artwork and stuff like that. But yeah, I have not improved since I was a kid. They normally say that, you can never teach an old dog new tricks, and that's normally the case, I think, with me, really. Although I'm not that too long in the tooth yet, but I think when it comes to art, I think I'll just leave the skill drawing to very accomplished artists, basically. I would actually love to get a commission done by someone if you're an actual like well-talented artist. I kind of want something along the lines of maybe a new tattoo design idea. I'd like to go back to my tattoo artist, but honestly, I want to see some fan art commissions of this if you're interested. I'd like to have a picture of myself, like with my hands out, and I'm looking down at what is in between my hands, basically. And I quite like this floating jellyfish, like this spiritual, like glazed looking jellyfish from Elden Ring. Because if you've obviously watched my playthroughs of that, I find that Jelly was like my closest form of a friend when it came to the spirits, basically. I used him an awful lot, along with Tish and the other ones as well. But it's mostly Tish and Jelly that I use, because with Jelly, she had a very interesting story arc, which I really fell in love with, basically. When you know, you actually manage to find her sister, who is a spirit jellyfish as well, basically, and then she lets slip that the jellyfish that is traveling with you is her sister, and she then gets to ascend to the heavens so they could see the stars together. There's something really touching and really lovely about that, that I kind of wanted it embedded on my skin forever. So sooner or later in the future, you'll probably see something like that. But I'd love to see your like artwork commissions, you know, like send me a link to your like DeviantArt page or your Pinterest or whatever. I'd like to see it. If you're interested in drawing it, maybe I'd like to pay you for the commission to be able to send me a piece of your artwork. I honestly would love to do that. I would love to see an artwork of myself. Like if you're a good portrait artist or not, then maybe just like the bottom half of my hands, just holding the jellyfish within like a spirit form and all that stuff. I'd just love to have something like that on my body to be able to like show my love and dedication towards a fantastic masterpiece of a game. Yes, I've got Rani on my leg, but Jelly in herself was just something unique that all of us as beginners within Elden Ring basically relied on. We relied on Jelly to save our skins when we were fighting against bosses and stuff like that. So I kind of want something like that to be in the same similarity, which is why I have an awful lot of, you know, game tattoos basically, like my Edward Kenway there basically, because games, I grew up with them, and to me, games are artwork in a way, shape, or form, basically. So many people come together to work on these pieces of art and they bring them to life, basically. Animation and gameplay companies make something fresh and something inviting. And combat systems gives it like that beating heart that keeps it going with its action-packed filled interesting stuff that happens within it basically. And then there's the cast, you know, the voice acting and all that goes into it that gives it more life basically. It's just, I know that there's like this stigma around gamers being like, oh well, just a bunch of nerds and all that stuff, they probably never touch grass and all that shit. Yeah, I touch grass nearly every single freaking day. I still play rugby from time to time. I cycle. I'm very fit. I mean, I'm a martial arts teacher. I used to be, for fuck's sake. So to be able to have the opportunity to enjoy something like gaming and like look at it for what it is, it's literally a work of art. To be able to motorize like artwork stills into a computer and then animate it and then make it something of its own basically, it's something beautiful really, and it gives us something to communicate across like time zones to people really. Like I've made more friends online than I have outside of my room basically, which I can just say is absolutely magnificent. How many people could say that they've spoken to a Turkish man, an Arab chap, an Indian, an American, an Icelandic chap, a Norwegian, a Swedishman, a Japanese person, and a Chinese man within the same evening, basically. You know, gaming can do that, basically. I mean, back in the early days, you know, nerd was basically something that you would use as an insult, as you would for an otaku. But now more people are doing gaming and, you know, making a living off of it. That's basically the norm now to most of us. So, you know, it's like that funny joke of like this nerd going up to this jock like, "Are you throwing balls for a living? And the universities accept you into their college for just throwing a ball? You jock." It's just a funny gag with that basically. "I'm sorry, man. I can only get through to college on a sports degree." "Loser, I've got a 7.8 point grade average. What have you got? You just got a couple of trophies and all the women." That's just funny to me. But yeah. So I think most of my... Yeah, I think I have... No, I think I have about 3/4 of my body are covered in gaming tats. Assassin's Creed, Mario, Elden Ring, Pokemon. Yes, Pokemon is considered a gaming tattoo, really, because, you know, there was the DS versions. The recent Violet and... I can't remember the other one, but yeah, that one is coming out, that game's coming out. And yeah, I believe... Yeah, there was it was a trading card game at first as well, before anything else, really. So, yeah, most of them were gaming related, so... it just, I wanted something extra to bring that, like, brings the meme culture in, really, when it came to my gender bent Booette tattoo, basically. You know, it breathes a little bit of life. Also, it's a filler for my arm, basically. What I want to do is try to get most of these areas covered up at one point. I mean, I'm not going to cover my tattoos up, but I want to get them filled in, basically, you know, so it creates one big sleeve at one point. It's just having to do that within one session is goddamn painful. And I'm still healing on my leg for my Gardevoir tattoo, but the skin is starting to shed at a very alarming rate. And I'm just thinking to myself that there's just so much, like, healing going on that it might just be trying to overlap with one another, and I have to make sure that it's all greened up, or otherwise it will not heal properly. Luckily with me, my body heals quite fast, you know, being quite albino in a certain sense. I mean, look at me. Look at this pale looking skin. I am whiter than Antarctica in winter. Although my arm is not, oddly enough, my arm is actually quite well tanned compared to, like, the rest of me, basically. That's because they're out in the sun most of the time. You know, if I just sunbathe, like, maybe for one day out of the year, I could probably look like a good tanned guy. I just don't bother sun-tanning myself, basically. So yeah, that was my little story time of basically getting a Rule 34 version, gender bent version of Boo. Meme, it's all for the memes, basically. That was probably my less not so serious tattoo, and I like to get not serious tattoos. I would like to get a joke tattoo at one point, basically, just so, you know, I could say that I'm one of those guys that got a joke tattoo, you know, because my friend, bless her, she's got like a Where's Wally tattoo behind her ear, and I think she got that when she was drunk. So she says she regrets it, but honestly, I find that quite creative. That she's like, oh, where's Wally? Right behind here, you know. So. But it depends on the person, really. I feel like if you enjoy it and it gives you a bit of, like, giggles and love and life, you know, to your artwork, then that's fine, you know? You don't have to have a deep meaning to get a tattoo, really. You just have to enjoy it and not regret it, basically. So that'll probably be the case with one tattoo that I might get covered up at one point, just because it is so goddamn awful looking now, you know. So I'll probably talk about that tattoo before I get it covered up, just so I can, you know, give you guys a little bit of a story time on it. But I will probably cover it up soon, sometime in the future. So yes, with that, lads and ladies, I thank you ever so much for watching another one of my tattoo story times, and it's been lovely chatting with you all again. So with that, lads and ladies, take care, and I'll see you all in whatever I do next around here. Take care, my friends.